So another aspect of your manifesto
Yes.
is economy and jobs, and one part of it is, you said, to revitalize power sector through decentralization and clean energy mix, hydro, solar, wind, tidal, and biomass.
Yes.
Now, I mean, there are a lot of realities in Nigeria that a lot of people who are players have complained about. How the law is framed, the jurisdiction of the state, and every aspect. I mean, there's just how much power that you can generate and use within your I mean, it lies within some sectors of the country.
Yes.
How would you unbundle, for example, the power sector based on what you say you are going to decentralize? How would you achieve it? And considering the way and manner things are right now, there are a lot of water that has gone under the bridge. How some of these power sectors have been privatized, and the monies that government have put into it. What will happen to all of those?
Right now, government is subsidizing the fraud in the power sector because most of the people who bought the unbundled part of the power sector are still being subsidized with government loans, grants, and in some cases, those of them who completely failed have had their toxic loans overtaken by AMCON. So what are we wasting our time for?
Would you be probing that?
We'll probe that, but the first thing is to renationalize.
What do you mean by that?
The country takes back its property. Because what we have done over these years is to give out, we invest $1 trillion on a project, and then we sell it for.
So you roll back the privatization?
Absolutely. The kind of privatization that is sabotaging the power sector today will be totally abolished.
But the question is, the power sector stakeholders said government taking charge of it is not making it work. That's why they propose privatization.
The private sector taking it over with stealing money from the Nigerian people, is it working? No. It's not working.
What message would that send to investors?
Investors
who have invested money
who are the investors? It's Nigerian people that have invested in this power sector you're talking about. The privatization thing is a scam. It's still Nigerian money stolen by them. I don't want to mention on your station because you'll be worried about libel and all that. I would have mentioned the people who are owners of the private electrical companies, and you will trace back to them a lot of stolen funds in this country. I'm telling you this.
So how long will it take you to, and how many megawatts can you generate?
We are targeting 24,000 megawatts generated and transmitted in 4 years.
In 4 years?
Yes.
Within the first year, how many can you generate?
Well, the first year will be preparatory to it, signing agreements, ensuring we bring in the right companies to help out. And then following that,
there's a German company that is working already with the Nigerian government.
We will look into that if they are the only ones we need and if they are competent enough to do so. We've seen their work in Egypt. It looks promising, but they also have a lot of baggage in terms of corruption.
How long back will you take the probing?
Well, the Siemens thing is about 7 years ago, so that's not it won't take long to investigate and probe what happened between them and the Nigerian government and why they haven't been able to implement the same way Egypt was able to implement and got 26,000 megawatts, and they have almost 40 million houses in Egypt now, homes fixed to the national grid. And like we told you before, and we were having that conversation, we'll break down that grid and have regional grids, mini grids, and we'll also want to promote retailing of electricity, which most people have probably never heard about before, but I will explain it briefly, is that will allow you can grow electricity, pull it together and sell it. Let's say you have power, you have solar panels on your roof and you're generating more than you need. You get a special meter to be able to sell to other people who don't have enough. So pulling off that kind of electrical supply is also a way of getting out of this. But what we have in Nigeria up to a point, and this is a confused privatization process, is that you can't do anything with electricity except you go to NBET.
Now, so you talk about job creation.
Yes.
How many jobs would you be creating?
With 24 megawatts of electricity in 4 years, 24,000 megawatts of electricity in 4 years, you'll be creating nothing less than 1.5 million to 4 million jobs. If you break it down to the number of people that needs to work on the solar farms that we are planning for the northern part of the country that will generate 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts. We are talking about the number of persons that work on tidal, biomass. And the biomass has a connotation, by the way, and I will explain it briefly, that we can make a lot of this electrical supply, up to 1,000 megawatts, from cow dungs. And that is why we also have a ranching program for the country, not Ruga.